The human stood at the base of the crystalline steps, unaware that the next breath he took would change the trajectory of his life forever. He had come as part of a small diplomatic escort, nothing more than a trained technician assigned to maintain the translator arrays for the official envoys. He had expected a quiet assignment. He had expected to observe without being observed. Yet the moment he stepped into the grand hall of the Dawn Spire, every alien eye turned toward him as if he were an unexpected variable in a well-rehearsed equation. The hall shimmered with colors that danced across the curved walls like liquid light. The twin rulers of the radiant world sat upon their elevated thrones, their regal forms draped in woven strands that glowed softly. Their species possessed tall frames, luminous eyes, and skin that shifted tones depending on their emotion. Behind them stood their daughter, the princess whose presence was the centerpiece of the gathering. Her people celebrated the Day of Choosing, a ritual through which she would select a guardian who would escort her through her coming-of-age trials. None outside her species had ever participated, or even been eligible. He did not even know this tradition existed. That made what happened next all the more startling. The princess stepped forward, her eyes swirling with vibrant gold. Her gaze swept across the assembled candidates who were kneeling in perfect rows. Dozens of elite warriors. Dozens of champions who had trained their entire lives for this honor. The hall fell silent as her attention drifted past them and landed on Malone, human standing with his hands clasped behind his back, unaware that he now held the entire room hostage. She raised her hand and pointed directly at him. Her parents straightened. The warrior stiffened. The human blinked, wondering if he had misinterpreted an alien gesture, and her clear voice rang through the hall. "I want him." A ripple of shock passed through the gathered audience. Even the air seemed to hesitate. He looked around as if she must have meant someone else. The envoys beside him stepped back without meaning to. The alien guards tensed, unsure how to interpret the declaration. The princess descended the steps with calm grace, every movement deliberate, as though the path had always been destined for her to walk. The human felt heat rise in his face, though not out of embarrassment. Rather, it came from an instinctive sense that he now stood at the edge of something far greater than himself. He kept his stance steady while the princess approached, her expression serene but resolute. Her parents exchanged a private glance, light flowing across their skin in complex patterns that signaled deep surprise. The king lifted his voice. "Daughter, the ritual binds a guardian to you for the trials ahead. You must choose one aligned in strength and heritage with our ways. You must choose one who can match your light." The princess did not turn away. "He already has." Her words held no arrogance, only certainty. The king looked to the human directly, studying the one creature in the hall who seemed both calm and confused. "Tell us your name, human." He offered a simple name, one his people had granted him. The princess repeated it flawlessly. Whispers surged through the hall as if a storm of voices had been released. The envoys from Earth worried what diplomatic chaos might unfold. The alien warriors looked wounded, as though their honor had been unintentionally struck. But the princess lifted her hand again, and silence fell instantly. "He is the one I choose." The queen stepped down from her throne, her expression a mixture of concern and curiosity. "Daughter, you have never even spoken with him." The princess bowed her head slightly. "I have observed him in the lower gardens these past days. I saw the way he assisted our younglings when their glider malfunctioned. He shielded them from harm without hesitation. He spoke to no one of what he did. He did not seek praise. I desire a guardian whose strength emerges from intention rather than display. I desire him." The human swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. He could not disrespect their ritual, yet he also had no training for what they were asking. He thought of every moment he had spent trying to avoid attention. He remembered the glider incident. A small child had nearly lost control. He had jumped to intercept the craft without thinking. He had made sure the shaken younglings returned to their caretakers safely. It had seemed like nothing grand now that small action had thrust him into a cultural storm. The king addressed him again. "Human, our daughter's choice is binding. The day of choosing determines her guardian for the trials she must endure to ascend as future ruler. To accept this role means to walk beside her into the unknown. It means responsibility, discipline, courage. It means the eyes of our people will watch your every step." The human stood for a quiet moment, weighing the weight of the question. He had come as a technician. Yet something in the princess's gaze reached him, something earnest and unclouded by expectation. He realized that while he had expected only to observe, perhaps he had been placed here because humans still carried the reputation of surprising the galaxy. Finally he bowed. "If she wants me, I will serve." A wave of astonishment broke through the hall. The princess smiled, her golden eyes brightening. The queen lifted her hand to acknowledge his acceptance. So began his life as the guardian of the princess. Training commenced the very next day. The alien instructors were skeptical, but he approached each task with quiet tenacity. He learned the art of moving in the low-gravity fields. He learned the patterns of their staff combat. He learned to read the shifting colors on the skin of the locals, an essential skill to understand their emotional language. His body adapted with surprising speed. His instructors began to watch him with new respect. The princess visited him often during his training. She asked him about Earth, about human stories, about the strange resilience her people admired in his kind. He answered her with honesty and caution. She never pried into matters of state or secrets. She simply wished to know the one she had chosen. Their conversations flowed easily, and soon the hall whispers shifted from disbelief to curiosity. During one long night, the princess confided in him. The trials she would face were not merely ceremonial. They were journeys into the reaches of her world, where old terrors slumbered and ancient structures still pulsed with forgotten technology. A guardian's role was to defend the heir from harm while allowing her to accomplish tasks that proved leadership. Humans were known for adaptability, but this was different. This required trust between them. When she told him this, he felt an unfamiliar weight settle upon his spirit. Not fear, but purpose. The time came for the first trial. He followed her into the Valley of Echoing Stone, where crystalline formations created shifting illusions. Local guardians usually struggled to navigate the labyrinth. Yet the human noticed patterns others overlooked. The illusions tried to lure them off path, but he used logic and instinct to guide the princess through every distortion. What baffled her people seemed almost natural to him, because he understood how to read systems. Even alien ones. The observers were stunned when they emerged earlier than any previous pair. The king watched with a renewed sense of curiosity. The queen's expression softened. The princess looked at him with an unspoken gratitude. The second trial required strength rather than perception. They climbed the storm pillars, towering spires that channeled violent bursts of charged wind. Alien warriors trained for decades to endure the forces at the summit. The princess struggled near the top as the currents intensified. Without breaking the rules of assistance, the human positioned himself to shield her path, using his heavier form and grounded stance to disperse part of the wind's force. His boots dug into the stone, his arms steady, his determination unwavering. Together they reached the summit while the watchers below stood in stunned silence. The third trial was the most perilous. It led them beneath the planet's crust into caverns once inhabited by an extinct predator species. The caverns resonated with strange energy that distorted balance and sound. The princess nearly fell several times, but the human guided her with a steady hand, never leading, only supporting. When one of the dormant creatures awakened unexpectedly, He placed himself between the princess and the threat without hesitation. He had no advanced weapon. He had no armor. But he used his surroundings, drawing the creature into narrow passages where its size worked against it. He moved with instinctive brilliance, his steps steady, his focus absolute. The princess watched in awe as he overcame a beast her people had feared for generations. When they emerged from the caverns, the hall of the Dawn Spire echoed with the news. The human had succeeded in all 3 trials. Alongside the princess, he returned to the capital, expecting tension or resentment. Instead, the alien people offered respectful nods. The warriors saluted him with reserved acknowledgement. The envoys from Earth looked baffled, impressed, and mildly terrified of the political implications. Yet the most profound reaction came from the Yakshan princess herself. During the ceremonial gathering held in the Grand Hall, the princess stepped forward, her gaze once again centered upon him. Her parents looked upon their daughter with fascination as she faced them, with quiet pride. He has walked with me through the trials. He has proven himself not by strength alone, but by heart. He has risked himself in my defense, even when he could have retreated. He has shown a courage aligned not with conquest, but with respect.